All right, so we're diving into Fiery FreeForm Create today. And, this tool is getting a lot of buzz, especially for folks who want to add that personal touch to their print projects without the headache of learning, like really complicated design software.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's really kind of like a game changer in a way because it
Yeah.
makes VDP, variable data printing,
Okay, wait.
so much more accessible.
Hold on. For those of us who haven't, mastered all the print lingo, what exactly is VDP and, why should I even care about it?
Oh, absolutely. So VDP, it lets you create these print jobs where certain elements actually change from one piece to the next.
Okay.
So think of it like this. You have 100 postcards, and each one has the recipient's name on it, maybe even a different image based on, what they like. That's VDP.
So it's basically like mass customization, but for printing.
Exactly. And it's super powerful for making your pieces stand out and feel, truly unique.
Got it. So Freeform Create is like the secret weapon for unlocking that power without needing a design degree or anything.
Precisely. And here's the kicker. It's free.
Oh, wow.
Which is a huge deal in a world where most VDP tools cost, a ton of money, or they come bundled with software you might not even need.
That's a big win for small businesses for sure, or anyone who's just kind of, dipping their toes into this whole personalized printing thing.
Absolutely. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that Freeform Create works with printers that are Fiery driven. So it's basically this bridge between your data, think customer lists, spreadsheets, that sort of thing, and your printer.
So I'm guessing I don't need to learn Photoshop or InDesign or any of those,
Nope. Not at all.
fancy design programs.
You can work with the PDFs and images you already have, adding those variable elements right within Freeform Create.
That's awesome. So tell me about this drag and drop interface. Is it really as simple as it sounds? Everyone keeps raving about it.
It's incredibly intuitive. You literally just drag and drop those variable elements, whether it's text, images, or even barcodes, right onto your document. It's that straightforward.
Okay, so let's say I have a spreadsheet with all my customer names and their addresses. Could I just drag that name field onto my postcard design and Freeform Create will magically put the right name on each card?
That's exactly it. No more manually editing each individual piece. Freeform Create does all the heavy lifting.
That's a huge time saver.
Yeah.
But what about, the fear of messing things up? I mean, a typo in 100 postcards, that's a nightmare.
Right, they've got you covered. Freeform Create has this really robust preview function. So before anything gets printed, you can see exactly how everything's going to look. Every name, every image.
So that's a relief. No more surprise misprints. Okay, so we know it's free, it's user-friendly, it can save us from, costly mistakes. But how does it stack up against other VDP tools out there?
Well, there are definitely other tools available, but that free aspect is a major differentiator. A lot of VDP tools are designed for professional designers with all the bells and whistles and, of course, a price tag to match.
So Freeform Create is kind of leveling the playing field, giving smaller businesses the same tools as the big guys.
Exactly. And even for larger businesses, it's a great way to just, try out VDP before investing in something more complex.
Right. So it's all about giving anyone, regardless of their, budget or technical skills, the power to create those impactful, personalized pieces.
Yeah.
Okay, so Freeform Create is a great starting point for anyone wanting to dive into VDP.
Right.
But what about those who've been using it for a while? What's got everyone so excited about this latest release? First one we want to talk about is the Rich Text Editor.
Yes, the Rich Text Editor. This is a big one.
So, even before 1.5, you could do some pretty cool stuff with text in Freeform Create, right? You could stack text objects within a block, hide blank fields, adjust line heights.
All very useful for keeping things nice and tidy.
But now they've really upped the ante.
Yeah, now with the Rich Text Editor, you have so much more control over the appearance of your variable text.
Well, you can do what?
Well, you can change the font, the size, the color, the style. You can even add things like underlines and superscripts.
All within a block.
Exactly. You don't have to break up your layout or create separate text objects anymore. It's all right there in the same block.
That's amazing. So, for instance, if you've got a client who's very specific about their branding, their name has to be in a certain font, in a certain color.
Right before, you might have had to jump through hoops to make that happen, but now you can just style it directly in Freeform Create without messing anything else up.
I love it. Okay. So moving on, let's talk about another big pain point for a lot of us, and that is pre-imposed files.
Ah, yes, the dreaded pre-imposed files.
Now, sometimes you get these from designers who are trying to be helpful.
They think they're doing you a favor.
Right. They're like, oh, I've already imposed this for you. It's ready to print.
But sometimes it's not that helpful.
Not always?
Yeah.
No. So For those who may be unfamiliar, can you explain what a pre-imposed file is exactly?
Sure. So a pre-imposed file is basically a file that's already laid out for printing multiple copies on a single sheet.
So like if you're printing business cards?
Exactly. You might have 8 or 10 business cards laid out on one sheet of paper that's a pre-imposed file.
But the thing is, sometimes it's better to start with a one-up file.
Yeah, one-up file is just a single copy of whatever you're printing.
So like one business card.
Right, and then you use a dedicated imposition software like Fiery Impose to arrange those one-up files onto a sheet however you want.
That gives you more flexibility.
Much more, you can change the number of copies, the layout, the spacing, all sorts of stuff.
And the great news is that FreeForm Create 1.5 now lets you work directly with those pre-imposed files.
That's right. No more begging the designer for a one-up version.
No more recreating the layout from scratch.
It just makes life so much easier.
All right, so we've covered the rich text editor. We've covered handling pre-imposed files now for the feature I am most excited about.
Oh, and what is that?
Colored barcodes.
Barcodes.
I know, right? I was like, what?
It's such a simple idea.
But so brilliant.
Right, like why didn't we think of this before?
Yeah, I know. And I have to admit, when I first heard about it, I was a little skeptical. I was like, how useful is this really going to be?
I understand, but then...
But then I started thinking about the possibilities.
Right, and it's like a whole new world opens up.
Seriously?
Yeah.
So think about it. You're printing tickets for a concert or a sporting event.
Or a conference badge.
Yeah, and instead of that boring old black barcode, you've got one in a vibrant color that matches the event branding.
Suddenly, it's not just functional, it's a design element.
It's part of the whole experience.
Exactly, it just elevates everything.
And it could even be a way to highlight certain information, like VIP tickets or special access.
Absolutely, you could have different colored barcodes for different ticket types.
So many possibilities. Okay, I'm getting carried away here, but I just think this is such a cool feature.
It is very cool.
All right, so we've covered the 3 big new features in FreeForm Create 1.5, but there's actually a bonus feature we want to talk about.
Yes, the integration with Fiery Job Flow.
And this one's for our power users out there.
The automation enthusiasts.
So for those who aren't familiar, can you explain what Fiery Job Flow is?
Sure. So Fiery Job Flow is a workflow automation tool that lets you streamline your print production process.
It's like having a personal assistant for your print jobs.
Exactly. You can set up these automated workflows that handle all sorts of tasks like pre-flighting, imposition printing, and even finishing.
And now with FreeForm Create 1.5, it integrates seamlessly with JobFlow.
This is huge, especially for those recurring jobs where the design stays the same, but the data changes.
Like monthly statements.
Or personalized mailers or invoices, anything like that.
So basically, you set everything up once in FreeForm Create, and then JobFlow takes care of pulling in the new data, creating the documents, and sending them off to print.
No more manual intervention, no more repetitive tasks. It's a huge time saver.
And a potential lifesaver.
Right. It frees you up to focus on other things.
Like maybe taking a vacation.
Oh, that sounds nice.
Just a thought. But there was one little caveat here.
Yes, you will need the paid version of JobFlow to use this integration.
And a Fiery FS 400 server or newer.
Just a little heads up.
All right, we've covered a lot of ground here. From like the basics of FreeForm Create to these exciting new features. But before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I want to circle back to one key takeaway. Accessibility.
Yeah, it's designed for everyone. You don't need to be a design whiz or a tech guru to, really harness the power of personalized printing.
Exactly. It's about giving everyone the tools to create those pieces that stand out and, connect with their audience on a personal level.
And that's powerful.
It really is. So stay tuned for part 2, where we're going to dig deeper into some real-world applications of FreeForm Create, get those creative juices flowing, and explore how you can use this powerful tool to take your print projects to that next level.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's so cool about FreeForm Create is it's not just about slapping names on things. It's about really creating these targeted pieces that are going to resonate with your audience.
Okay, I love that. But give me some real-world examples, because right now, all I can picture is personalized brochures, which, those are great.
Yeah.
But there's got to be, a whole universe of possibilities out there.
Absolutely. Think about direct mail campaigns. Instead of sending out, a generic postcard to everyone, you can tailor each one to the recipient.
Okay.
Imagine a postcard for your local bookstore. It has the recipient's name, maybe a recommendation based on what they've bought before, And even like a discount code for their favorite genre.
Oh, see, that's so much more interesting than just a plain old flyer. It
Exactly.
feels like a personal invitation instead of just like a mass marketing thing.
And that personal touch can make all the difference when it comes to getting someone's attention.
Right. So it's not just about aesthetics. It's about using personalization strategically to get results.
Right. And speaking of strategy, what about variable data coupons? You can create unique codes for each person, track how many people use them, and get all sorts of valuable info about your customers.
Now we're talking. I love how Freeform Create kind of blends that creativity with data analysis. It's not just about making things look good. It's about making them work.
Exactly. And let's not forget about personalized packaging.
Ooh.
Imagine getting a package with your name right on the box, maybe even like a special message or a unique design.
Okay. That takes unboxing to a whole new level.
Exactly. It's about creating those memorable moments that make people love your brand.
Because, in a world where everyone's bombarded with all this marketing stuff, personalization is key to standing out.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've seen how Freeform Create can be used for like all sorts of things.
Yeah.
But I'm curious about, the technical stuff. We talked about that drag and drop interface.
Right.
But how does the data integration actually work?
It's surprisingly simple. Remember how we talked about Freeform Create supporting different types of data, like those CSV and Excel files?
Yeah.
That's where it all happens. You just import your data file. It could be your customer list or, any other database.
Okay, so if I have like a spreadsheet with my customer names, addresses, and like their purchase history, I can just import that into Freeform Create.
Yep.
And then start mapping those fields to my design.
Exactly. It walks you through the whole process. You pick the data fields you want and then link them to the matching elements in your design.
Okay, got it. So I don't have to be like a coding expert to make this work.
No, not at all. It's designed to be easy to use, even if you're not super techie.
So we've talked about the what and the how of Freeform Create, but I want to circle back to the why.
Yeah.
In a world full of marketing noise, why is personalization so important?
It's the heart of it, isn't it? It's about making a connection, showing your audience that you see them and you get them and you're talking to them directly.
It's about building relationships, not just like blasting out messages.
Exactly. And Freeform Create lets you do that in a really cool way. Think about going beyond just like names and addresses.
Okay.
What about customer preferences, what they've bought before, or even special occasions?
All right, give me an example. Let's say I own a pet store.
Okay.
How can I use Freeform Create to make it a really personalized experience for my customers?
So let's say you have a customer who buys dog food all the time.
Ah,
Instead of a boring old catalog, you could make a mailer with their dog's name on it, a picture of their breed, and some suggestions for things they might like, maybe even a discount on their next bag of food.
now that's thinking outside the
It
box.
feels like you're talking directly to them, right?
It does. And that kind of personalization can really build loyalty.
It's all about creating those moments that make people feel like you get them.
And Freeform Create makes it easy to do that.
It does.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into Fiery Freeform Create, I want to leave everyone with one final thought.
I'm all ears.
Don't be afraid to experiment. Push those boundaries and explore the power of personalization. It's not just a marketing tactic. It's a way to connect with your audience, build those relationships, and create experiences that people will actually love.
That's a great point. And, with tools like Freeform Create, that power is in everyone's hands.
So go out there, get creative, and let those personalized prints fly. Until next time, happy printing.